Welcome to Short of Sir classes. This question is from ISI B.STAT 2022 paper. So the question is saying that in this question paper, R denotes the set of real numbers. Consider a board having 2 rows and n columns. Thus there are 2 n cells in the board. Each cell is to be filled in by 0 or 1. And we have 2 questions, A and B. So in A it is stating that how many ways can this be done such that each row sum and each column sum is even, and in B it is saying that in how many ways can this be done such that each row sum and each column sum is odd. So we have 2 rows. First create a 2 rows and n columns. So our 2 rows will look like this. So these are the 2 rows where the rows are R1 and R2, and we have n columns. So we can like this C1, C2 up to this it's going. So we can just have Cn over here, right? So these are the 2 rows and n columns which will have total 2 n cells is there. Okay, 2 cross n cells. Now it has to be filled either with 1 or 0. Okay, so now going to our first question, that in how many ways this can be done such that each row and each column sum is even. Okay, so for the column sum to be even, we have to fill this R1 and R2. So if one of the column is C1 is 0, for to be even it should also be 0, and one of the column is 1, then it should also be 1. So for 0 it should be 0, for 1 it should be 1, and you can see it all depends upon this R1, the row R1. So if we find the number of ways to fill the R1, row R1, so we can also similarly we can get for this R2 will come out automatically, right? And here the thing is that row sum will also be even. Okay, so we have to find number of ways to fill row R1. Okay, for rows sum to be even. So how to fill this? So if I have this n zeros over here, then we will have 0 1, right? This is the first case. Next, when we have n minus 2 zeros, so here will be 2 1s. So in this way we will go n minus 4 zeros, so we will have 4 1s. Similarly, n minus 6, we have this n minus 6 zeros, so there will be 6 1s. So it will go like this, right? So for the first case, only one way is there, n0 and 0 1, all 0 and no 1. So we can write it as n of c1, nc0 plus n minus 2, 2 1s, so nc2 plus n minus 4 zeros and 4 1s, so nc4, n minus 6 zeros and 6 1s, nc6, and it will go like this. Okay, so we know that this will be equal to 2 to the power n minus 1. So in this case we have n may be an even number or n may be an odd number. So the number of ways to fill the R1 will be this 2 to the power n minus 1 for the row sum and column sum to be even. Okay, So this is the part A. Now part B, in how many ways can this be done such that each row sum and each column sum is odd? So for column sum to be odd is option B. So for column sum to be odd, so if we, so R1 and R2, so if R1 is 0, to be odd column sum it should to be 1, and if it is 1 then it should be R2 should be 0. Similarly we will find this number of ways to fill R1. Here the row sum is also for row sum to be odd. Okay, so in our case what will happen? For 1 once we should put n minus 1 1. So it will happen in this way. So first let us consider, if we put this n, yes, not 1, yeah, the same way, because we have put this in the even is n zeros and zeros 1. So here we will just put since it is odd, so we will put for 1 1 we have n minus 1 0 for odd case, right? Now for 3 1 we have n minus 3 0. Similarly for 5 1 we have n minus 5 0, and it will go like this. So the number of ways to fill R1 will be this, in this case only one way, that is NC1 NC1 plus NC3 plus NC5 up to, it will go like this. Okay, so it will have the same, when the all the subscripts are taken the odd values, so we will the same thing, the 2 to the power n minus 1 will be the answer, right? Now there is a thing which we have to mention, that if suppose that if n is a odd number, okay, if n is an odd number, and if we choose m of 1, okay, if we choose m once for R1, so in R2 it will be n minus m1 for the R2. So is n is an odd number and we choose m is also an odd number, so the n minus m will be an even number. So this 2 to the power n minus 1 is only valid when n is an even number. But for when n is an odd number, this is not true. So for question part A, in how many ways this can be done such that each row sum and each column sum is even, it is 2 to the power n minus 1 for n being odd or even. And in how many ways can this be done in the option, this question B, such that each row sum and each column sum is odd, then we will have 2 to the power n minus 1 provided n is an odd number. Okay, so this will be the answer.